sounds of Pass the Peas.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some peas were passed there.
Good music.
Booker King, Tony Bruno, Ron Thompson,
And Steve Luongo.
and myself, yes.
Happy Tuesday, children of the lawn.
Yes, happy Tuesday, children. This is going to be a fun one for me. So, I mean, they're all fun for me, but this is going to be one of them.
The children love that song.
That's a great song, right?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I've told the story of that song a million times, but I'm going to, if those of you, especially the children, will remember my effort to pass the peas. Okay? I've got, I have a recording studio, I have drums, and I still know how to use them. So I thought, record some grooves, just sitting there and record 3 minutes of whatever, 4 minutes of whatever, with some changes in it, and send it to somebody. Someone to Angus. He sent it back with a nice bass part on it. I sent it to Wade Preston. Wade played piano and B3. Awesome tracks.
Yeah.
I think Tony played guitar on that one as well,
Yeah.
Tony Bruno.
Sent it to Steve Stevens.
Though that was different. This is all the same track.
Oh, yeah.
And then the one that you just heard was the one that started it all off. I think, Step Outside, I sent to Booker. Now, it was my original plan, like the game of telephone, I say something to you, and by the time it gets back around to me, it's a rabbit in a hat or whatever. I kind of wanted to do that with the music. But musicians are way too, especially guys performing pros, not star, icon frontmen or whatever, but players, our group of guys. They want to know what the job is that you want them to do, and then they're going to do it, right? So the thing for me was, okay, send a track to a bass player, let him put some bass on it, let him send it to somebody else, and see what they do to it. And then let them send it to somebody else, and send it to a singer, send it to whoever. And by the time it comes back, there's no more room for anything else on it. It was supposed to come back to me, and I, for the first time, was going to hear everybody's tracks. So, it didn't quite work that way. And that's not down to anything other than when Booker sent me his track back, I sent him the drum part. And when he sent his track back, what he played was so frickin' cool that I had to re-record the drums to go along with it. That's why the song feels like it changes together. And so in favor of doing that, especially with the rhythm section, that kind of negated the possibility that it was going to go around the horn the way I had originally intended. But I know you remember that at the end of every show, I'd ask the questions, tell them about Free For All Friday, and invite them, did they want the peas passed? So you're thinking, I know what you're thinking, I've got like 200 songs with... No. Because, again, it's musicians.
It's people.
Well, it's people that play music.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
They're like, send it to me.
Oh, yeah, man, I'd love to play on you. See, now, what's going to happen is...
And then what do you get back? Crickets.
Crickets.
Mm-hmm.
Which... It's a little disappointing, but I guess, and it's not like we were in the middle of a pandemic and no one could go anywhere. Oops, yes it was. Anyway, that's okay.
Some of them weren't just motivated.
You know what? Or maybe my tracks sucked. I don't think.
Well, they could.
I don't send out sucky tracks, kids. I mean, it's not my thing. I don't do that. But it was. So then it kind of did happen that way, because Booker then sent my re-drumming and his bass part. I mean, he just wrote something that was so cool. I think I edited his part down and played to it and then sent it back to him, and he learned the thing. And I don't know, I'll ask him tonight. But then he sends it to Ron Thompson. Now, I've never said a word in any language to Ron Thompson. I don't know Ron.
Never seen him.
I've never seen him. I don't know how tall he is. I don't know whether he's a righty or a lefty. But I know one thing.
Gail's. Go ahead.
When Booker sent me back Ron's tracks, there were 6 stereo keyboard tracks on there, and I was blown away. So then I mixed the keyboard tracks to ride through the track, and I realized where the guitar should be, and I sent it to Tony, and Tony sent that shit back in a day with all those leads, and he sent the one back that we did with Wade and Angus in a day too. I play that one,
Gail says she remembers someone wanted to be paid. I remember that. Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't remember who it was.
I remember who it was,
and
I remember what he said too. And he didn't get any peas passed.
The checks the checks in your mouth, and I won't come in the mail.
Oh,
No, you don't have a button for that? No, you don't even have your buttons.
Oh, give me my buttons.
No, I stole your buttons.
Oh, okay.
I needed them in the control room to do the narration. So I'm doing this, the Roy Orbison thing. I didn't get the chance to play that. Should I play that? Let's play a second of it.
Yeah, we have a little. We have 3 minutes till Booker comes in.
Okay, so here, this is just so that you'll know what I'm talking about.
Roy Orbison blazed a quiet path to his legendary status as a hit songwriter and vocal virtuoso. He was loved and revered by his peers, including Johnny Cash, Marty Stewart, and the king himself, Elvis Presley. Roy's story is no simple tale. It's filled with tragedies as well as many triumphs. The Vernon Kelton Band performs Roy's musical catalog as the soundtrack to our live documentary performance, accompanied by factual narration and a stunning HD visual presentation. You'll leave the show feeling like you got to know an old friend a little better.
Okay.
We don't get to hear the music.
I don't even know what that was.
Pretty Woman.
No, I know it was Pretty Woman, but I thought it was the sizzle reel, but it stopped after the narration. Anyway, So what happens during the show is, they're not dressing up like Roy. They're not doing that. That's not what it is. And the reason we call it a live documentary is because there's a whole bunch of really cool information that is provided to you, the listening public, by way of videos and screens, and it's really cool. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So I'm the one, obviously, doing the voiceover and editing the footage, and it's cool. So if you can go see it, please. It's not, and it's it's a very cost-effective show. But yeah, in Riverhead. So anyway, that's what I've been working on, and I've been doing the videos for it, which I'll play somewhere on the show. Some of the different things that appear in the show. It's fun. I mean, it's like writing a play, and then you get to give everybody their parts, including the light guy and the sound guy, and then you sit home and do this.
Gail says she loves that the documentary goes with the show.
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, it's. Well, anyway, yeah, it's the whole point. That's the point.
You find out a lot.
It makes the music. When you find out what went on in Roy's, the stuff that happened in his life. I mean, I'm sure you all know some of it, but I doubt any of you know all of it. I don't know all of it, and I've been reading it for years and years and years, and I keep finding out new stuff. Which means that the show will continue to be fresh. It's 20 songs. The whole thing the way we're doing it in Riverhead is in 2 acts, because they take an intermission so that they can get you drunk and sell you stuff. So
the band's not getting drunk. The people are.
Band's already drunk.
The band is not.
Band is sober as judges. Good band.
Oh.
Speaking of good band,
Booker!
There he is. Here he comes, walking down the street.
Right on time.
Yep.
Well, hello there.
Hey, man, where have you been?
Oh, man. Background.
Yeah, bitter end. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's Benny. I was going to ask if that was Ron Thompson.
Yeah.
Man,
Hey,
let me turn you up.
Booker.
My things.
How are you, Laurie?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
We just passed the peas before.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I opened with. Oh, sorry, let me just turn you up. I opened with "Step Outside." I mean,
Oh,
and and I was saying it was funny. I don't know whether you heard it or not, but I was talking about when I first started that whole thing, and you were the original guy,
mm,
and it blew my mind so much because I didn't really know what was going to happen when I
yeah.
to try to do that, and I was in many ways I was killer surprised at how great it was, and in other ways I was very disappointed at what people didn't do or whatever. But that's musicians,
Other people.
right?
How you look?
But now, and this is the funny part about it, because I've been talking to the label about releasing this stuff.
Uh,
Oh, so Ron, who I've never met, Thompson,
mm,
you know, I told you when we talked about doing it that if ever went anywhere, we would share it, so on and so
yeah.
forth. And I wonder how many tracks I'm going to start to get now. Hey, I've been meaning to send you that track
You
back.
know that thing you sent me a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Man, I've been trying to send it to you, and I can't remember your. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, but it was great. Wade Preston played on some of those things.
Yeah.
The thing with Angus and Tony played on a couple, and Steve Stevens did his whole own thing. I just sent him a drum pack, and it came back like finished. So, oh, Booker, man. So, and I gaze over this friendship of ours, and it's a friendship,
Yeah.
it's a kinship, but it's like I feel like I'm in space and talking, that it's a video phone and that's the only communication there
I,
is.
I know. Isn't that strange?
It's very strange, man, because usually you meet somebody, right?
Mm,
And you say, man, we got to make some music together. And that never happens. The
mm.
minute we said, man, boom. So,
That's right.
and
And for musicians, that's the most intimate thing you can do. It's personal for all of us. So when you're sharing yourself with another musician, you really can't give them more than that.
no, and that's the thing, and I was thinking about it today. If I could only play with one other instrument, what instrument would it be? And it would have to be bass, because
Drums and bass.
drums and guitar would be a little lacking unless you had some kind of weird pedals or something. Drums and okay, Lee Michaels, drums and organ with Frosty.
That includes bass, though.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does. But yeah, man, but bass.
Well.
Hmm. That's unless you heard like the Mahavishnu stuff with just Billy Cobham and John McLaughlin.
Oh, well,
A
yeah.
whole lot of music.
Well, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
But how long can you do that? You know what I mean? Do I want to be up there for an hour and a half doing that? Maybe. Maybe. I saw McLaughlin, and I did a clinic with Cobham. I mean,
Mhm. I saw Billy play. I saw Billy play for an hour and 20 minutes by himself.
Wow.
I don't doubt that.
No effects, just drums. Just the drumsticks in him.
It's it's not the wand, it's the magician.
Yeah.
But it's a language to him. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And his vocabulary is wide, and so he could do that and keep you interested.
Yeah.
That's the point of it. And he and I, oddly enough, are the only two people that I know of that have. You remember when Crossroads came out?
Yes.
And he did the thing in the beginning of was it Strata? Where he did with the Moog drum, that thing.
Mm-hmm. That's on. Well, if it was the album that has Stratus on it, that's Spectrum.
Maybe it was at the beginning of the song Spectrum.
Yeah.
Doesn't that have the?
He does a thing with it. He does a sample and hold thing.
It's not a sample and hold.
It's
thing.
not a sample and hold.
No, man.
He's triggering it with his.
It's a Moog drum. It's a drum. It's like the little tom tom on
Yeah.
the smallest tom tom, the 6.
Yeah.
That it's a and it's black and it says Moog on the side of it. And it's got two knobs that make it do this and that, and it's what they call a percussive transducer, and it's got a regular head on it with a piece of foam. I'll get mine and show it to you Friday.
Okay.
It's got wires coming out of it with these wackadoodle connectors that are for to go into a mini Moog or a
Mhm.
micro Moog. So no, he was playing that. That wasn't sample and hold. He was
Wow.
playing that. And the harder you hit it, the high. It depends how you set it, but the way he did it is he had it programmed so that the harder you hit it, the higher the note goes. The softer you hit it, the lower it goes. So
Mhm.
it's and we had the only two. He had the one with the white label, and I had the one with the black label, and never saw another one since. Yeah. So anyway, so how's it playing at Arthur's, man? I mean, and is it? Do you enjoy it? I mean, is it?
Well, it's like there's some place that I enjoyed playing for a long time. I used to play there with a singer named Frankie Paris, who was his claim to fame was that he was the original lead singer of Dawn, as in Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Mhm.
He was
Oh,
the original lead singer of Dawn, and they replaced him with Tony Orlando, and they made history. But he was a phenomenal like blues and R&B singer. We used to describe him as like a combination of like Tony Bennett and James Brown.
wow.
He was kind of really like that because he would do things, he would do vocal solos where he would just scat over the drums, and it was killer every time.
Wow. And so see now that's the Pete Best story, right? I mean, it's him and Dawn, or was it just Dawn?
It was just called Dawn. And
Okay,
he
so
was
let me
and he
so
was
let me make up my own little thing here. Somebody was managing Tony Orlando
mhm.
and went to the girls in Dawn and said, "Look, lose this guy, come with us,
Yeah.
and we'll
Ah.
get your record deal." Or did they have a deal?
I don't know if they had a deal. He had a deal with another group before that called Paris and Clark. And they did a version of that song, United We Stand, Divided We Fall.
Mhm.
That song. They did
Sure.
a version of that song, and it was like a regional hit as well. But I don't know if they actually had a deal with Dawn. They might not have, you
So,
know.
I mean, that sounds. I don't
I
think
think
Dawn.
what I remember of him as a businessman, I'm absolutely sure they didn't, because he would have got paid, and that didn't happen. So
Uh, well, so maybe he left. I mean, or is that not how it went?
I don't think that's how it went. I think it was like he was released. Yeah,
Mm.
But he had blues records out, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
but come on, man,
I
Tony
know.
Orlando
I
and Dawn. I mean, that's
know
like
the difference.
it's like that's the Pete Best syndrome or whatever. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's that's.
I
But I
guess.
wonder, I mean, the other side of the coin. You've been around the world,
Mm.
in 80 days. Um, it's not for everybody that level of fame. Maybe it would have burned him up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, he also, he left New York for a little while and moved to Vegas, thinking that he would go to Vegas and, because there were blues artists out there, but he figured he was a guy coming from New York. He knew it was going to happen, but he never told us that he actually had a gambling addiction as well.
Man,
So he had to borrow money to come back to New York.
what do you mean? He lost?
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you,
Yeah.
I had a.
Keyboard player.
I don't even go that close, but I would play in a musical situation with somebody that had a gambling addiction, and it was I saw it firsthand. Like I discovered it. I happened upon it. And it was like, what? I had never even dawned on me that was. And man, I'm telling you, as addicted as I've ever seen anybody to anything.
Yes, it's that bad.
On our way to a festival, and we were in traffic. The traffic going to the festival. We're in the tour bus, and we're like in Minnesota.
We're on the road. It's like one of those festivals for like, it's a 3-day
Yeah.
festival, 60, 80,000 people in
Right.
tents and all that shit, Woodstockish. And so there's one road, right? One single lane highway that leads up to whatever is the site.
Mhm.
And we're going, we're in the bus, right? And we're going like, 2 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour, because you're at the back entrance, right?
Yeah.
And this fucking guy sees like a little, it looked like a cigar shop.
It looked like a
It
little
was like a
shack
little Indian casino.
on the
And he
side
said,
of the
"I'll
road.
meet you guys there," and jumped out of the bus and was gone.
Yeah. And it was like, what? What if he gets like stabbed or shot or gone?
Oh,
Yeah. On his way to the
I
concert.
mean, I was like, because I don't want to say I'm a control freak, but I'd like to know where everybody is.
I understand that.
Yeah, you don't jump off the tour bus like that.
I've never seen it in all my years. I've never seen that one before in my life. But hey, listen,
And I think that's when you realize, wow, he's got a gambling problem.
And the only time I ever worried about, because you could lose your money. That's okay. But don't lose my money.
yeah,
Yep.
And that, when the person is in control of the band's money,
Oh,
that's when it gets that's when it's sketchy and you go like, do I really want to deal with this?
I would not deal with that.
Yeah. And it's as scary as somebody who's smoking their cocaine, who I've dealt with that too, where,
yeah.
Did you
where somebody,
Clinton?
I've dealt with that.
well, he did a whole lot worse to his friends, supposedly, than somebody's done to me, because you could only do it once to me.
Yeah, right. No, I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah, you can only do it once to me. He did things to those guys that, like I said, Bernie Worrell died penniless. And
That's insane.
that's a shame, since he's co-writer on virtually every hit.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, listen, it's a very weird business, because I guess in a way, it's like Las Vegas. It looks all glamorous and lit up and fabulous and just, but there is such an undercurrent of scumminess. It's what it is I think, part of it, with artists and models and young people that are ready to be, they have the tools to be professional, but they're too young to be experienced and see something for what it is.
Mhm.
And that's where the opportunists come, man. It's like, oh wow, hey, I could manage you guys. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So
So that's the other thievery in the business: agents and managers.
Oh, yeah.
well, yeah, man.
Yeah.
The stuff. I'll tell you the weird thing about it, and this is the only reason that I can sort of understand what George Clinton's people went through. Half of the shit that was happening in my camp, I didn't know about until it was over. I mean, insane things like we bought a truck, right? We were carrying our own gear. We had the quad PA and our own light show and the whole 9 yards, and the stupid drum set and the just biggest everything. And so we bought a truck.
This isn't with Entwistle, though.
No, yeah, this is Rat Race.
Yeah.
And it's because we're renting trucks. Why do that? So we bought this truck. I think it was like $30,000 or something like that, a box truck. And unbeknownst to us, that when we were writing, because we would take days off and we would write, we had a house and we would go there and write, somebody was using the truck for drug runs.
Oh, really?
Florida. To Florida.
Florida.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to them.
Yeah, and I mean, and we're talking about cartel size stuff. Like, what? But I digress.
Yeah.
Did it get seized or anything like that, or did you not have to deal with that?
No. I mean, I guess they were good at it. And, you know, and the thing about and it was interesting because we'd be out, we'd be at one, we had, over the years, we had different houses, but we had the house in the Hamptons till like 79. Then we had the house, had the horse farm upstate for a few years. And whenever we would get done with rehearsal and our person would return from wherever they were, I don't want to use the words, you're going to hear glass break and I'll fall over. There would be an abundance of joy.
When the person returned?
When the person returned, be an abundance of joy. Oh, yes, here. Hey, oh, sure. Why not?
Wow.
Yeah, it was
The person in charge.
dark. Yeah, it was dark, and it was But
let me get back to the original question was, do I enjoy playing at Arthur's, right?
Yes.
right, that was the question.
You see where we went with that? That was good, though.
That's a real conversation, people. If you're watching, if you're still awake, that's what it really
they're
is. man.
awake.
This is I'm sure they are.
Oh,
Yeah,
so, the original question was, do I enjoy playing at Arthur's? And I started playing there off and on like 95. I was touring. I would come off tour. Frankie would call me, are you available for some stuff? Actually, the main bass player after 2000 was Ivan. And and I was the first call for a long time. But from 95 to 2000, it was a variety of bassists that would go in and play with him. And what I liked playing about that place was that it was, at the time, there were two bands that played continuously through the night.
Wow.
It was like 9:30 to 4:00 in the morning. There was one drummer. That drummer would play. He'd have that little bit of break between the two bands, and that's the only break he would get. But he played from 9:30 to 4:00 in the morning.
Hey.
Yeah. And then Frank decided that he didn't want the same drummer that was playing in the whole, the house drummer for the whole night. So he insisted on having his own drummer. And there was always his own bass player, guitar player, and keyboard player. So I would do that from time to time. And what I liked about it was that it was good, hard playing. Because when you're on tour, you play 75 minutes a night, 4, maybe 5 times a week. And you fall out of, even though you're playing consistently, you're playing the same music the same way. And you can get stale real quick unless you're careful. So,
and I get that. I totally get that.
It was a way of keeping, my chops up. Another friend of mine, a guy named Ron Jenkins, he plays with Anita Baker now. Him and I used to discuss it because he became my first call when I became the main guy. And we discussed it he'd go, well, how do you feel after coming off tour? And I said, does your right hand lock up after you're playing for a while? It was that's how hard we played, is that your right hand would lock up after a while.
That happened to Larry Hobbs, my bass player down here. We were, I guess it was the opposite way around, because Larry's, he's a doctor, so he's not out there playing, and when he does go out and play, he plays with a local band that does blues, so he's not killing himself, right? All of a sudden, I said, Larry, come on, let's come join the Robin Zander band. And Zander's just calling songs out, Led Zeppelin or whatever. And Larry said, I remember looking over at him and he had a weird look on his face. He said, "Man, my hand locked up and I was having to like peck at the strings." And yeah, and I've had weird stuff like that happen where
Yeah.
I never missed a day of playing for decades. And then when it went to touring for 3 months and then
Yeah.
much else and then, some gigs, it got strange. And so then when you would go back out to tour, and I mean, in with Entwistle, it was, that was a frickin' track meet in that band.
Yeah.
And I remember one time my foot was like fell asleep, and I'm on my pedal trying to. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's because your mind still wants to play the way it played the last time.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I went on a tour that was 8 weeks long, right? And I was the MD, I was the musical director of the opening act, right? Arena tour, but we played 27 minutes.
Wow. Yeah.
That was the entire show. We did spot shows where it was the entire show, but the entire show was an hour. So I came back and I was like, I'm going to have to get in. I had to go play at Arthur's to get my chops back up, because that's really what I used it as my musical gym.
And when I get that. When I ask the question, in the back of my mind, because I know I know where you've gone and all the stuff that you've done, stuff you've done, and it's got to be. I mean, to my mind, it's got to be cool to go home after work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not even like fly dates, man. I mean, you're going to Arthur's, you're driving home. That's got to be amazing. If you're playing music that you like with people that you enjoy playing with, and you get to go home at the end of the
you
night.
You got to tell me about the movie we saw the other night, and we thought of him going home.
Oh God!
Bad Guys. It's an animated
have you seen the
movie?
animated movie Bad Guys? The Bad Guys.
Yes. I saw part of it with the Grands. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we thought of you. We both thought of you at the same time. Do you remember
the guinea pigs?
when they had the guinea pigs all over the place? Where the guy,
they were all over the street.
the whoever stole the thing.
Oh, because of the rats. Oh.
Yeah, they were guinea pigs, and they had the glowing eyes.
Yeah.
And the guy was stopped at the light, and they all overtook the car. We said, "That's Booker on the way home from Arthur's."
Roll up your windows.
Oh man. It didn't. Like I said, I never saw that before. And I said it has something to do with, like I said, that food source wasn't there for a long time. It is. So it's crazy.
We saw it in the 80s.
We saw it a long time ago.
Well, I used to walk up in the block. Right now, the way the traffic is, people aren't driving a lot still, which is great for parking. So I pretty much park almost right in front of the club.
Wow.
when I play there, which is odd because I used to have to park like a quarter of a mile away, and roll my stuff in. Now it's like I can leave the stuff in there, talk to the doorman for half an hour, and then pull my stuff in. But now what was I talking about?
The rats.
Right.
Okay. What happens? Okay. So I used to I used to park a lot of times in the previous block, and walk down. And going back at night, there was some construction going on in one of the buildings. They were renovating the building. And my friend called, he said, "Be careful in Rat Alley." And what do you mean Rat Alley? And I'm walking my stuff over there, and the rats are running over my feet.
Oh man.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes, that's a New York experience there.
Oh God.
It certainly is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah, but
we
you
have
know,
other.
like the degree of when I played Arthur's, like the degree of musicianship that's in the club. You know, when we would play there, because Frankie only called kind of A-list guys, right? And that continued after he left. He left and came back for a while. Um,
And
but
who took his place? Tony Orlando?
Tony Orlando like
what
did something.
what happened was they didn't know what was going to happen because Frankie just said, I'm moving to Vegas," and, and that was it. Didn't say anything to us, like other than I'm moving to Vegas. So you know how clubs are. So there were other guys coming in trying to snatch the gig. So I looked at the keyboard player, a guy named EJ Sharp, and I said, EJ, the club owner and manager was downstairs in the office. And I said, go downstairs and get your gig. Right. And he went downstairs and he says, okay, guys, we're going to be doing this like we've been doing it, except now I'm leading it. So it turned out actually better.
Well, I would think so because
Yeah.
even if somebody's leading it, everybody has a little bit more of a voice. It sounds like in Frankie's situation, it was a little bit like
It was his band, period.
yeah. So that's got to be even more enjoyable. And if the room sounds good and it's fun to play,
Mm.
that's what really matters. We've all, well, we haven't all, but you and I have played those massive, ridiculous venues,
Yeah.
and if it wasn't for headphones, it sucks. I mean, one of what I thought was going to be the greatest show of my life turned out to be the worst show ever. We played like crap because we couldn't hear each other. I mean, yeah, there was
Yeah.
100,000 people there, but
You couldn't hear it. Yeah.
yeah. So
When the worst seat in the house is on stage, that's a problem.
a huge problem.
That's a
And
problem.
so well, but I mean, just to have a steady gig at a
Yeah.
at a local place that's at an area place that's got great music and great players. That's a gift.
And we used to have who used to come in regularly? Cecil Taylor, the pianist, who passed away in the last couple of years, but he used to come in there all the time, and he would sit like right at the corner, the front corner of the stage, and just listen to us.
Well,
And like I'm wondering if he's just listening or is he smoking cigarettes and drinking his brandy Alexanders because that's what he drank, right? And he would ask me questions about what I played and why I played it. So it meant he was really listening. He wasn't just sitting there.
see, I'm not. Well, if it's not my kind of music, then I'm a great listener.
Mm.
But if it's somebody doing something that I wish I was doing, I can't listen right. Because I'm like, is he gonna pass out? Please, I gotta go. Please let me play. It's
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that was in younger days. Now I can sit
Mm.
back and I'm happy that you're playing, but. Uh, but it was, it used to make me nuts to go hear other bands because I wanted to play. I didn't want to listen. I couldn't do that thing. It was so magical to do it, especially. And I think the thing that makes it the most magical is when you're in total sync with the guys you're playing with.
Mm-hmm.
That's
For a long time, it was one drummer. And it was like, he had subs for other dates he did, and he had some other issues. So sometimes he was gone for months at a time. But when I played with him, I found that I was less tired at the end of the night. And that was because the pocket was comfortable between the two of us. And I didn't have to work to pull him back or hold him up, and he didn't have to do the same thing with me.
wow.
So,
Yeah.
and it sounded in the end, it sounded better as well, you know. And there was, other people. I remember there was a night Gary Clark Jr. came in, right? And he came in, and what happened was we were playing, right? And they were doing, I guess they were doing Fallon. So these bunch of guys came in and they sat right by the door in the front of the club, right? And they're sitting there and we're playing and they're like pointing at us and talking among themselves. So we're like, oh, what the hell is this, right? So one of them, I guess, walks outside, right? And about 20 minutes later, Gary comes in, right? The hat, everything, right? And he comes in and he walks right to the front of the stage, right? And he's just standing there listening to us, right? So we're going, that's Gary Clark Jr., right? Right? So the drummer yells out, hey, Gary, you want to play? And at first he said, okay. he was going to say no, but then he said okay, and he came up and he played for a good 20-25 minutes with us.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, but we've had like a bunch of people come in with varying degrees of success.
Oh, yeah.
Because when somebody comes in usually and says they want to come in and sing and they don't know their key, that's the sign that it's not going to be a good day for them.
Man, yeah, I have been in that. I used to do the China Club Jam and the Spodioti Jam and the Barbet thing. And when you get a clam up there, man, it's just everything just goes. When you get one of those girls that's had a couple of too many drinks, and I want to sing Janis Joplin. Okay. It's like, man, come on. Are you just, and you don't want to play it shitty. You want to be in it, but you just,
Well, I recently had an experience at a wedding with Kevin. An experience at a wedding, and it was the first time now think about this. I've been a musician I've been professional roughly since I was 15 or 16, right? So a really long time I've been doing this. And this guy comes up to the stage and Kevin says, because we have in-ears in, right? And Kevin says there's a microphone that he only talks to us with. Hey, we're going to have a guest on the stage. And he says, I wonder how this is going to be. And right when there's a private joke like that, we're all falling out laughing on the stage because we know that it's usually not good, right? Then the dude calls Superstition by Stevie Wonder. He called the key and he said, listen to me for the breaks, right? He was fantastic. We were like, when he was done, Kevin got on that same mic and said, that never happens. It never, that somebody who knew the key, knew how he wanted to do the song, and knew all the words, and could sing.
Wow. That never happens. That's very funny.
A guy that wanted to come up, a guy's brother wanted to come up and play drums on Peg, right? I had to hold that whole pocket together by myself because he was doing everything but playing with me.
Oh.
And at the end, I just said, thank you. And he doesn't know that I was saying thank you for getting the hell off the stage.
Okay. Do you know how to play Far, Far Away? Well, I tell
you, solo, we can't hear you.
Solo, yeah. We used to do sound checks. This is the Entwistle band, and I got the brilliant idea that we should invite somebody. We used to open it up. We called it Matinee Madness, and there'd be always 150 people there that would pay the price to get in and get stuff signed and watch the sound check, because it's sound check. It's much different than the show. It's us talking about, and that's, if you're in that, that's what it is. So I said, would anybody like to come up and sing a song? All right. Oh wait. This is great. And I have it. I could play it. I'm not gonna. And so I said, we'd like somebody to come up and sing the real me. You know, you know that song. Can you see the real me?
Yes.
Can you? Right. Well, that's how it starts. It's can you see the real me?
With Roger
Can ya?
and no
Can
music.
ya? Blah, boo, doo, doo, right?
Yeah.
So whoever's coming up to sing the song has to start it. They have to scream, can you see the real? And the funniest part of the funniest part of the whole thing is the three guys in the band, the guitar player, the keyboard player, and I are freaking crying.
Because you know it's going to.
And Ed was just over there playing his part, not saying a word. It's like, and I don't know whether it's because he couldn't hear the guy, but these people, and they'd come up on the stage, and guitar player would hand them a mic, and they'd be like, okay, and then they'd finally realize, oh, I have to start it. So either you know how it starts, right? Just imagine putting the record on, and then what happens? And the guy goes, "Oh, can you see the real me?" And it's like, and it's and we did it every day, and it was so much fun. And I later heard from the people that did it, all sending me videos of them doing it, and it was all really, it wasn't nobody was
They
forced to
enjoyed
do it. It
themselves.
was fun. I mean, it was a great.
So it was like those early American Idol auditions when they're showing it early, and the people that really can't sing and have no business being in that room. That's what that was, wasn't it?
It's exactly what that was. It's called Scarioke, and the thing, and the thing about it is, these people are they're on stage with John Entwistle singing the real me. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. This is it's like they're tripping. It was some of the most fun I had on that whole tour, because they would light up, and it's like Queen for a Day or something. It was just fun. But
When's the last time you were nervous? What's the last time you were nervous on stage?
Oh.
I've never been nervous on stage.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to get up there. All right, let me really think about that. The only time that I ever came close to being nervous in a performance was when I had to read the eulogy at John's memorial service in London. And it wasn't that I was nervous, I was just disconnected from it. Nah, nervous, my ego doesn't let me get nervous. Why? Do you get nervous?
I think the last time I had a moment, and I think it was the very first. I was the Mexican artist I played with, Leela Downs, right? When she hired me to be in her band, they basically gave me it was a 2 or 3 week trial period, right? And they didn't know that I had them on the same 2 or 3 week trial period myself. But we played the opening because she's also mixed tech Indian. So when they opened the Smithsonian Museum of the American Indian, we played the opening of that. And there was like 1 million people out there. It was crazy, right? And what it was is that I had never played a full show with her at that point. We had done little pieces of things, but not a full show at that point. And I think I was like, you get up on stage and you forget everything you know for about 30 seconds. And then when the count comes up, then you just play.
Right.
But it was like, there was a little bit that was like going, what happens if I don't know? And that's when I learned that if I just relax and let my hands do what they do, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, and I know that I mean, nervous, anxious and nervous, I would understand. I was always in a situation where the situation never made me nervous. You know what I mean? I was never in that kind of a situation. I imagine if I was in that kind of a situation, I would certainly be attentive to the point where, I would probably get a little frittery. But,
yeah.
what?
No, there's the one thing that I really used to hate was promoters like holding the show for 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, I hate that.
Tell me a showtime, I'm rearing to go backstage. I want to be on stage doing it. And when you go, we're going to hold it for 15, drives me crazy.
Okay, now there you go. All right, so now you've brought up a moment in my mind where it was not nervous, but it was so anxious that people were scared. We're playing. I'm playing a show for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Jack Bruce, my guitar player, who might as well, be Clapton. It would sound, it was the real thing, right? The set was longer than the one rehearsal that we had before we went on, but we knew it was going to be great. I had played with Jack before in different situations, and we knew it was going to be amazing. I couldn't wait. We were the headliner, da 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 da. And so, what was the guy's name? The keyboard player?
Dennis DeYoung.
Dennis DeYoung.
Sticks.
Yeah.
Sticks spelled with a
He went on before them.
Spelled with a D.
Yeah.
He went on before us and would not stop playing.
Yeah, he ran over.
By like 40 minutes. And I'm downstairs and
and there was a 10 o'clock stop.
There's a curfew.
Yeah, curfew.
And this,
Yeah,
it's still making me uptight.
yeah.
I'd walk up on the side of the stage. I'd give this guy the Vulcan stare. I'd go back downstairs. I'd walk back and forth.
Yeah.
And it got
the stage manager to tell him to get off the stage.
I didn't tell Jack anything. I said, let's just go. What are we going to do? We're going to do the whole set. And the police came, and they were going to arrest our sound man. And it was like,
Joe Berger.
Yeah, Joe Berger. For Dennis DeYoung.
Yes.
From Styx with a D.
Because he just wouldn't get off the damn stage.
He just would not stop playing. And it was at the Coca-Booth Amphitheater in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, it sounded amazing, but
yeah.
So by the time I got on stage, I was like,
yeah.
Anyway.
And so, you were talking about how the arenas, arenas sound like arenas. It's like crack, 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 crack.
Yeah, but I will tell you the only thing about an arena that I love, and I never hear it anywhere else, and it's not you can only hear it during sound check. You can't hear it during the show. But when I used to go to see bands play in the 70s and I would hear that snare drum, the way it came out of all those speakers, that sound that it makes, because it's now the snare drum, but it's picking up the room before it gets, nothing sounds like that. And that's my only favorite thing about playing arenas, is to go in and hit my snare drum one time and just listen to it go.
I found there were some places that really sounded like crap. Like, what was it? It was not Brendan Byrne Arena. Was it Brendan Byrne Arena in New Jersey?
It sounded like crap.
Yeah.
It could have been.
But it sounded like crap. Like the Staples Center, which is larger, I expected it to sound like crap, and it sounded really good. I was kind of surprised. It almost sounded like a more intimate room. And I said, maybe they were just more in control of the sound. That's all.
Yeah, but it certainly wasn't the acoustics.
No, it wasn't the acoustics. And what used to be the Seattle Supersonics arena. First of all, that was one of the ones where the headliner, who was Britney Spears at the time, he had all these video screens that went up, right? And because of that load in, the show almost didn't go on because they had all these video screens and they had one driveway. to bring everything in. It was crazy.
I need to hear a Britney Spears story. I I, I need to hear a Britney Spears story. Something.
Okay.
Oh, baby, baby. How was I supposed to know?
Well, you know, she did that. She did a Showtime special during that tour, right? And there were two songs where, well, there was one song where she sat behind the piano, right? And the piano was faced this way, and you could see her head over the piano, right? And what nobody knew was that there were no keys on the piano.
Oh.
And it's that good thing I was the MD for the opening act because I didn't have to sign an NDA.
Oh, wow.
I didn't have to sign an NDA. So I can tell this safely. And so when she did this special, they didn't tell the director. The director of the special was somebody they brought in to do this, right? So he has cameras going all over the stage. So when she does this one song, he swings a camera around behind her, right? Not only to take a picture of the crowd from behind her head, but to take a picture of her playing the piano, right?
Her gorgeous pianist technique.
Yeah. And when they showed it, her hands were just laying on it was just a piece of wood, and her hands were laying on the piece of wood.
Oh,
She didn't even
goodness.
move her shoulders.
She was moving her shoulders.
Oh, she was. Okay.
Yeah, she was moving her shoulders. Yeah.
Well,
That's-
she rehearsed, Steve. Come on.
Wow, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
But nobody was supposed to know that.
that's a good one,
That's
Booker.
a great. Come on.
Yeah.
Only right here on Rock and Roll Show and Tell. That's. I mean, that poor girl, man. I don't know. That.
Well, the other thing is that on that tour, you got to meet her family,
Oh.
and I'm just going to say she was the nicest person in her family, easily. And a lot of the stuff that they did with her, she did not deserve. I'll say that about her.
Wow, man.
Yeah, we watched
And,
that
they
documentary.
were at that said New Jersey show, which was the last one that we did on that tour, right? I drove up because I drove my car because I could come get stuff that I could take home, like my rack, which was my personal rack.
Right.
So I drove up and I went to the parking lot where, the tour buses were and everything, right? So I see one of her main security guys standing outside. So I walk over to talk to him, and she is sitting behind him outside of one of the buses smoking a cigarette. And I said, "What happened?" And he just pointed inside and said, "Her brother." Right. And I walked inside, and her brother is telling everybody what to do.
Wow.
Wow.
And enough to drive the star of the show out of the arena.
Man, you know what? The brother came before the star, and that's that family dynamic. It doesn't matter. I mean, because they know the buttons. They know where the buttons are.
Yeah.
We were a star. We knew the buttons, and we
knew the buttons. And they obviously knew the buttons for a long time because they kept doing it. I feel like she kind of is like catching up with years of living that she has not been able to do.
That's.
And I feel sorry for her in certain ways.
I feel sorry for her in many ways,
Yeah.
man. I mean, that she was. Listen.
I got to tell you, Booker, all the children of the lawn are saying they're loving having you as a guest.
And so are we, bro. We
Well,
never.
I love that. So thank you.
Yep, and Chris wants to know if you're playing with Corey anytime soon.
Well, Living Color tours during the summer. So, that, and also the guitarist, Mike Ciro, he is musical director for Alejandro Sanz. and Alejandro's doing makeup dates for gigs concerts that he took money for 2 years ago. So, so he's out. Mike is out for 9 weeks. So that's basically the entire summer Mike is out for. So that last date that we did, I think it was in beginning of June, was the last date he did. I think he left the week after that. So I think he comes home in a couple of weeks.
Well, when you see him, tell him I was asking for him. I used to play, he would sit in at China Club all the time. He was a great player and a very nice guy. So,
Well, that hour flew by.
is it over?
It's over. 8:01.
Wow.
Yeah.
See what happens when you get
One of the
people that
children-
talk a lot together?
Well, man, let me tell you what. This is,
That flew by.
I compare the show to like a party at my house or a party in my room or whatever it is. And the truth of the matter is, there's many times where I would connect with one person, at a party with 20 or 30 people,
Yeah.
and we would just disappear and drop into this conversation. And man, I tell you what, it just feels so good to do it without an agenda, without a, you know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
to have it flow naturally. And the most amazing part of it all is, even though I think we've made an amazing record, we've never been in the same room. That's
Isn't that the freakiest thing?
that is like freaky.
That is the freakiest thing.
Yeah.
And it felt like, when you listen to it, I don't think there's a person on the planet that can tell you we didn't play those rhythm parts together.
Well, I tell you, that was one of the highlights of my post 2019 music. Doing that song with you, especially with you. When I got 6 tracks from Ron Thompson, I was like, what? And Tony did a great job, but doing it with you, going back and forth when we dropped into the 7 and the whole, it was, man, you wonder when the next time you're ever going to get to do that again is.
Yeah.
So, man, I tell you, I'm grateful for your talent. I'm grateful for your friendship, and to be continued, my brother.
And your knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great, man. So what? Anything up besides Arthur's?
They're already calling for an encore, Booker.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We'll do it again. We'll
let me tell you, I haven't scratched the surface on crap I can talk about. So.
Well, we should light it up again, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen, I would love to put you on standby for the somewhat less than dependable guests that cancel on Monday. So
Tuesday, not Monday.
no, they cancel on Monday.
Oh yeah, they do.
So
Let me tell you,
if
between
you want,
you and Clark Gayton, man, you've got
Yeah,
some stories.
I'll tell you what. That's you, me, and Clark should
Man.
do one.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I see Clark almost every day at the gym, right? And I have to make sure we have to, because I'll go over, either I'm on the treadmill or he's on the elliptical. And if I'm there first, which is usually, he'll come over and say hi and talk. But then after I'm finished on the treadmill, I'll walk over before I start the weight work, because I do my cardio first, right? I'll walk over to his elliptical and we'll start talking. And I had to realize I'm in the gym to work out.
Yeah.
Because we could talk for a good hour, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you speak the language, man. I mean, it's, you're going to this. I hear that. So, what is it? Free weights, or are you using the machines?
I use a combination of both.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
And he's been doing it since the mid '80s when the picture with
No, I've been
Young.
doing it since the late '70s.
Wow.
I've been doing
That's
it since-
great, though, bro. I mean, that's good. I mean, for me, what I did as a player was my frickin' workout. I mean, it was, and then all the sports and stuff that I played, I couldn't get myself next to the routine of a gym. I mean, I could. There were certainly times when I needed to and did, but I just liked skiing or skateboarding or surfing or playing tennis or doing whatever, and there's nothing better than being in that good cardiovascular health, no matter
Well,
how.
you know that I always tell people, like the keyboard player, the keyboard player from Arthur's. I used to always tell him, because he was, like, I'm out of shape and I'm this and that, and I would say a half an hour of concerted movement, like deliberate movement, 3 times a week will greatly improve your vitality, right? And I said, think about that. That's 90 minutes out of 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And it'll greatly improve your health. And you know how hard it is to get people to do that 90 minutes?
We
Yeah,
do it.
we do.
We do it with yard work.
Yeah, we do it.
Yeah,
I
yard
mean,
work,
let me tell you what.
is great. It's all it has to do is be deliberate movement and consistent. 30 minutes.
We do it in the
We
morning.
do it for over an hour every morning, weekdays. So we're doing it 5 days a week, and then if something needs done on the weekend, we'll do that. But I mean,
Oh,
let me tell you
Kenny
what.
said, say hi to your mom, Booker.
I will. She's actually a good example of that concerted movement, because my mother, when I was little, I lived until I was 5 or 6 in the Bronx, right? And instead of hopping on a bus, my mother liked to walk.
Ah,
Ah.
She walked us all over the place, and she was consistent with that. She liked to walk. And, she's 92 and she moves better than both
Yep.
of her younger sisters.
Yeah, she's like
yeah, she's pretty
unbelievable.
But and I'll tell you what. I think if it wasn't for all the stuff that I used to like to do, and playing, two kicks and singing and doing all that at the same time, I don't think I would have survived the other stupid shit that I did. You know what I mean? I think that's what saved me at the end of the
Yeah.
day, because it got to the point where if whatever I was doing started to affect my playing, that's why I never was a big drinker, because it's horrible to play drums with alcohol. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not a good drinker anyway, but it's so I'm very grateful for the things that I did, and they were fun. I loved skateboarding, because after you skateboard a mile downhill, guess what you do next? You walk a
Walk
mile
back up.
uphill.
Yeah.
We used to do that 10 times. We used to do 10 runs at this place in Armonk, and man, I used to love it. I used to love the burn, and it was just. So I hear you. Believe
Yeah.
me, I hear you with both ears.
All right, well, the children are starting to say
Oh,
goodnight.
the children are hanging up. That's up to you. Boy, I tell you what, when they start
gotta-
leaving the club before the band's done, it's a problem.
Well, they have their routines, you
Yes,
know.
they do. All right, go to sleep, children. Booker, I'll see you Friday,
Yes,
man.
Booker.
Definitely see me on Friday.
Thank you for being here, bro.
And you have to come back again. They want you back.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again.
Whenever you feel like it, just let me know.
All
Okay,
right.
I will.
There's a guitar player that I did a record with. He's actually the guitar player that plays with me at Arthur's all the time. And he was him and Harvey Brooks did a lot of work together.
Okay.
So so I did his record, and he's a blues guitar player that plays, jazz and a bunch of other things. But his record is a blues record. And if you did an interview with him, I would have to be on there, because the amount we would laugh would be really.
Set it up, man. I'll set it up.
I'll-
I mean, I'll start a new feature, Tuesday trio. Let's do it. I'll absolutely do that. And here's my question for you. From me, we can maybe talk about it on Friday, or we can talk about it the next time I'm here. But what would Booker's album sound like?
Okay.
Okay, keep
Yeah,
that.
that's not a 1 or 2 sentence answer
I didn't think
at
so.
all.
To be continued, my brother. Thank you, man.
Okay.
See you Friday,
Thank
Booker.
See you Friday.
Say hello to the family.
Definitely
Bye.
will. All right,
right,
take
brother.
it. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. See you soon.
Booker.
And that's the best part of the best part. It's the people.
Yep.
When you hit the good people that, I mean, because he's a player, kids. And I've played with some bass players, as you know. And that guy he's the real deal.
No doubt.
And whatever. I'm not going to waffle around because I'm going to get hit with a spatula.
Well, if you want to
So-
eat dinner.
Nah, I don't want to eat dinner.
Okay.
Let's just do.
Well, the children are all leaving.
Children,
They're all saying goodnight, Booker.
So
Thank
what's
you,
tomorrow?
Booker.
Anything goes Wednesday?
Anything goes Wednesday.
Which means who knows what the hell that means. But if I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.
Good night, everybody.